Have you ever looked in a mirror, not at your physical reflection, but at your life, and thought, who is this person? This isn't me. This what we're talking about today. The disorientating, sometimes terrifying feeling of having lost yourself, of not knowing who you are anymore. I want to tell you about a moment I had about 18 months ago. I was getting ready for school, same routine I've done 1,000 times: tea, shower, makeup, work clothes. I was putting on this sweater and I just stopped. I stood there just holding the sweater. I couldn't remember why I owned it. I didn't even like blazers. They made me feel stiff and uncomfortable. But I had a whole closet full of them because that's what professional young women wear, right? And suddenly I was looking at my entire life like it belonged to someone else. The home I lived in was perfectly decorated, but felt sterile. The job I've been at for 6 years that I kept saying I'll leave, but never did. The friends I saw every week out of obligation more than genuine desires. The person I was dealing with was fine, just fine. Not wrong, but not right either. I sat down on my bed, holding the stupid blazer, and I started crying because I didn't know who I was anymore. Somewhere along the way, I became this curated version of a person I thought I should be. And the real me, I had no idea where she went. How we lose ourselves. It doesn't usually happen all at once. It's gradual. You make small compromises that seems reasonable at the time. You take a job that pays well but doesn't fulfill you because you need to be practical. You deal and date someone your family approves of, even though you don't feel that spark. You stop doing the hobbies you love because you don't have time, or because they seem silly, or because nobody else you know does them. You change your opinions in social situations to avoid conflict. You dress a certain way, talk a certain way, present yourself a certain way, because that's what's expected of you. Each individual choice seems small and significant, but they add up. And one day you wake up and realize you don't recognize the person you've become. For me, I think it started in high school towards college. I was studying art, painting specifically. I loved it. It was the only thing I'd ever been really passionate about. But my family members were worried. Art isn't practical. How will you support yourself? What about your future? So I added a business minor just to be safe. Then I started taking more business classes because they came easier. The path felt clearer. Then I did an internship at a consulting firm because it looked good on my resume. By the time I graduated, I convinced myself I was just being realistic. The art was a hobby, not a career, that I needed to be responsible. But really, I abandoned that part of myself that felt most alive. The wake-up call. That morning with the blazer was my wake-up call. But wake-up calls can look different for everyone. Maybe it's a breakup that makes you realize you've been playing a role in a relationship, not being yourself. Maybe it's a health scare that makes you question how you've been spending your entire life. Maybe it's just a persistent, nagging feeling that something is off, that you're going through the motions but not really living. For my friend Marcus, it was watching his niece. She was so free, so completely herself. He realized he couldn't remember the last time he felt that way. For my co-worker Jan, it was her 30th birthday. She imagined her life would look a certain way, but then it didn't. Not because she failed, but because she's been living accordingly to someone else's script. The journey back to self. So, what do you do when you don't recognize yourself anymore? How do you find your way back? I'm going to share what worked for me, but I want to be clear this is messy. It's not a neat, linear process. It's going to be uncomfortable and scary and sometimes really, really sad. But it's also the most important thing you can do. Step 1, get quiet. The first thing I had to do was create a space to actually hear myself because I've been living in so much noise, other people, expectation, societal pressure, my own anxiety about what I should be doing, that I couldn't hear what I actually wanted. I start meditating just 10 minutes a day, sitting in silence, trying not to do anything, just being. It was horrible at first. My mind raced. I felt restless and uncomfortable. But gradually, in those quiet moments, I started to hear whispers, little hints of who I actually was underneath all the layers I built up over time. Step 2, reconnect with what you loved before. I made a list of things I used to love before I started performing the role of responsible young adult. Painting, obviously, but also reading poetry, going to concerts, staying up late talking about big questions, conspiracy theories, dancing in my kitchen, wearing weird, vintage, eccentric clothing that didn't match. I've given all of these things up, not intentionally, but through 1,000 small choices to be more responsible, more professional, more acceptable, more of an adult. So I start doing them again. I brought paint and canvases. I went on solo trips. I went to poetry readings at a tea shop. I put on ridiculous clothing just to wear around my house. And I started to feel like myself again. Like I was coming back online after being in a power saving mode for years. Step 3, question everything. I start asking myself about every part of my life. Is this mine, or did I take this on for someone else? My job? Someone else's idea of success? My relationships? Someone who looked good on paper but didn't actually fit me? My environment? Decorated accordingly to Pinterest or my vision board? Not my actual taste? My friend group? People I met along the way from high school to college that I've been outgrown but kept out on a habit? This part was painful because once you start questioning, you can't stop and you recognize how much of your life isn't actually yours. Step 4, make changes, even scary ones. I quit my job, not immediately. I was practical about it. I saved money, I looked for something else, and then I left. I took a massive pay cut to work at a small nonprofit that actually aligned with my values. I ended an important relationship that was one of the hardest I ever done. They wasn't bad, but we weren't right for each other, and I've been too scared to admit it. I moved to a smaller apartment in the neighborhood I actually liked, and I decorated it with weird art and bright colors, things that made me happy instead of things that looked good. I slowly distanced myself from friends who I realized I didn't really connect with, and I made space for new people who liked the real me. Not all of these changes happened all at once. This took over a year, but each change brought me closer to who I'm truly am. Step 5, forgive yourself. Here's the thing that nobody tells you. You're going to feel guilty for all the time you spent being someone else, for the opportunities you passed up, for the ways you abandoned yourself. I was angry at myself for years. Why did I give up art? Why did I stay at that job? Why did I waste my time in that friendship that wasn't right? But my therapist said something that helped. You were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time, and you survived, and that matters. She was right. I made those choices because I was scared, because I didn't know better, because I thought I had to. But now I do know better, and I get to choose differently going forward. Where am I now? I'm not going to tell you I've completely figured out who I am, because I don't think that's how it works. We're always evolving and always changing, but I recognize myself now. When I look at my life, it feels like mine. I work at a job I care about, even though I make less. I paint regularly again, even sell some small pieces at a local market. I live in a community that feels like me. I'm friends with someone who knows and loves the real me, not a performance. I'm in a community who are deeper because they're authentic as well. Most importantly, I trust myself again when I make decisions. They come from inside of me, not from external pressure, validation, or fear. If you feel lost, you're reading this and thinking, that's me, I don't recognize myself anymore, I want you to know it's not too late. You haven't lost yourself permanently. You just buried yourself under expectations and fear that you thought you needed to be acceptable. But you're still in there, I promise. Start asking questions, start getting quiet, start doing one thing, just one thing that feels genuinely like you. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to quit your job or end your relationships or move across the country. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Just start somewhere. Start small. Wear something you actually like. Listen to music that moves you. Say no to something you don't want to do. Say yes to something that scares you but excites you. Little by little, you'll find your way back. And when you do, you'll realize you were worth finding. Thanks for being here. Until then, see you next time in the next episode. Bye.